This DCCA workshop is on social media, led by Terry Schmidt. Take it away, Terry.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Terry Schmidt, and I support the social media campaign for the 2nd District of the North Carolina GOP. I'm not a social media expert. I don't know if there is such a person. The field is constantly changing, and it's being updated all the time. My background is originally as an Army officer, and after that career, I became a technology consultant with a worldwide consulting firm. We focused on technology and secure communications for a variety of federal and commercial clients. And then recently, I've retired from that and become a private consultant. This evening, I'm going to present some suggested approaches for your social media campaigns in the upcoming election cycles. I'm going to focus primarily on one social media platform, but in the process, I'll present various approaches to different types of social media, when and how to use them, and from there, where you can obtain some more information about using them for yourselves. I hope this will take about an hour, including any questions. So these are the questions that we want to answer tonight. What social media platform should we use? What are those platforms, and do they target the right audience that I want to target? Once we decide on social media platforms, how do we use them most effectively? What should we say? How do we get started? How often should we post? And then answers to those really depend on how much time and effort your volunteers are able to put forth in developing content and in updating those sites. And I'm going to jump right in and say that I think for this next campaign to be the key 2016 social media source. I've got some statistics and graphs here. If you look at the one in the upper left, it shows that for millennials, those ages 18 to 33, Facebook is the key news source for them. Not newspapers, not TV, not anything else but Facebook. More surprisingly, the next column over, it also shows that same statistic for Gen X. Facebook is the key news source. It also has a very high share among baby boomers. It's 3 times greater than its nearest competitor of YouTube, and everybody else is just an also-ran. If you look at the graphic in the lower right, it shows the increase in social media following by registered voters. Use has greatly increased since 2010, and it continues to do so. So this evening, I think we're going to focus on Facebook. Millennials are going to make up more than 36% of the entire voting pool in 2016, and you add those in with Gen X, you have a large percentage of the voting pool that's going to get their news media from Facebook. First, I'm going to assume that everybody that listens to this presentation knows what Facebook is, and they probably have a personal profile. I recommend for political use, though, use a Facebook page and not a profile. And what's the difference? Pages are for businesses and organizations. Profiles are for individuals. Pages can have multiple users, multiple owners, making it much easier to keep them updated and provide more information. They also provide metrics on how many people read your page, when people visit your pages, and so on, which can be important when you're targeting your voters. If you don't have a political page yet, the link in the middle of this particular slide is where you go to create one. But again, I strongly suggest that you don't use a personal page. You set up a Facebook page that reflects your political campaign. Once your page is out there, you need to post quality information. You need to post on a regular and consistent basis. The folks that are looking at that need to be accustomed to having good information and new information and updated information when they visit your page or when your page updates their Facebook site. You should take a stance on issues. Don't be wishy-washy, but don't be a jerk. Provide facts, provide information. And what I really suggest is don't just repost other people's information. Be original, be creative, put out things that are important to people that you're targeting in your Facebook page. Write like you talk. You don't need to sound like a political pundit. You don't need to use $20 words. Use short words, tell stories. Everybody loves to hear stories. Don't ever use utilize. It's one of my pet peeves, and don't yell in all caps. Keep your posts positive. Don't get into arguments. Provide factual information. Put your candidates in the best light, and you can use that to refute negative and incorrect information. If you have lots of information you need to provide, Facebook probably isn't the right place to do that. Use a blog, use a web page, and then point to that blog or web page from your Facebook page so people know where to go to get more information. One question that comes up is, how much do I need to write? Research done on what are the ideal lengths of posts on the internet. This chart lists a summary of the most effective lengths of social media articles. I think it also reflects the shortening of the American attention span. For Facebook posts, the ideal length turns out to be around 40 characters. Not 40 words, but 40 characters. However, that doesn't really mean you're limited to just a few words. I'm going to show an approach to that on the next slide. Use pictures. Posts with pictures more attention grabbing than anything without. For blog postings, assume your reader is going to spend between 3 and 6 minutes reading a blog post at most. What that really means is you should keep your blog posts around 1,600 words, so maybe a type page and a half, not much more than that. And likewise with YouTube videos. Shorter is generally better, under 3 minutes long. The rest of this reflects the continuing shortening of the attention span. Domain names, keep them short. Blog posts, keep them short. Headlines, only the first 3 and the last 3 words generally get read. So if you want to capture people's attention, provide it quick where they can find it. And if you have more information, provide a place where they can go and get more detailed information. And here's a picture I said that we can use to expand upon information. The GOP here from North Carolina has taken content from major news source, the Washington Post, and they reposted that on the North Carolina GOP Facebook page. The title is more than 50 characters. It's 50 or 40 characters. It's 59 characters, but the photo has so much visual impact that people are going to look at that. It's going to catch their, and for more information, they click on it and it takes them right to the Washington Post article. So here's a very powerful technique that's used. Put a picture, put a video, tie it back with more information, and have a short, catchy headline that people are going to look at. And so I think that's something like that is very appropriate and very useful for what we're trying to do. We want to promote the party. We want to promote our candidates. But how else do we do that? Use your page in your advertising material. Remember, use your page in your advertising material, not your personal profile. You need to set up a vanity URL. Make it easy to find. And I've got that starred there. It says, what you don't want to have to do is have someone look up Joe-Smith /1959, so whatever. At Facebook.com/username, you can shorten that. You can set up your vanity URL and point to that instead of the longer normal Facebook page URL. Keep it simple. I recommend just the name. Use your Facebook page to create events. You may want to link Eventbrite back to your Facebook, or just use the Facebook event operation all by itself. One of the things you may want to look at is consider buying fans on Facebook. You can start a campaign. Facebook tends to want to push you in that direction, but they don't tend to give you much information on what you actually get out of it. They ask you to choose a total budget that you'll spend, either in total or by day for so many days. Facebook then takes what you set up as parameters for the folks you'd like to target, and what they call then is they auction that information off to those folks. So a rough estimate, if you spend $100 on Facebook advertising, that may buy you 200 more likes in your Facebook page.
Is this the same as boosting?
Yeah, Facebook calls it the same thing. They're really advertising for you for your Facebook page. You're boosting a post, or you can go ahead and advertise your whole page all by. But it works the same way. They want to set up a budget, either by day, a certain amount, or a total overall budget. Then they will, by their own mysterious mechanisms, figure out how they want to use that to target people that you've asked to be targeted. And you can get that pretty specific. You can say, I want to target 55-year-old men living in North Carolina that have posted on the web in the last 2 weeks that have shown an interest in gun auctions. You can get that level of detail that Facebook will then try to place advertisements to your web page or to your particular posting on those individuals' posts. So it's kind of a gamble. You don't know what you're going to get, but it's an option to get an increased audience on your Facebook page. The thing I think we all have to remember is that nothing ever goes away on the web. I was reminded of that just a couple of days ago. I subscribed to a Chatham County blog where people buy and sell things and talk and talk politics and talk local events and so on. One of the posters was complaining about the upcoming elections that are going to happen in Pittsburgh. And one of the candidates for the elections had changed their position from previous on Facebook to current on Facebook. And this particular gentleman says, I know, because I take a screen capture of everything that goes on so that I can look at it later. So that's one way that people capture information. There are also just machines that continually troll the web to try to capture that information. So anything that's posted, you've got to remember, it never goes away. It's captured somewhere. Photography, I think, is the key. People's eyes are captured by pictures and by moving pictures. Use lots of photos, use lots of videos that catch attention, that drive people to your message. And I've just listed here a few thoughts on Facebook pictures. Capture action, make them newsy, make them sharply focused. They can't be blurry. Stage the pictures if you need to get rid of background clutter, but don't do it so much that they're unnatural. One of the problems with a lot of pictures is people are too far away. Get close, get as close as you feel comfortable, then take another step closer. Always include people. That's really what Facebook is about. We're trying to capture people's imagination, capture people's interest. Natural lighting is usually best. That probably means if you're outside, try to get somewhere where it's not using artificial light. Use diffused light outside if you can. Same thing inside. If you can get away from bright light shining on a person, it's probably better. Most everybody uses cell phone cameras nowadays. Know your camera. Make sure your lens is clean. And then lastly, learn to use photo editing tools, whether they're the ones that are native on your computer or more sophisticated software. Generally, you'll want to crop or trim away unwanted portions and then make the photo either brighter or darker. Those are just some simple, fairly easy ways to dramatically improve your photos for publishing on Facebook. There are two main pictures you need to worry about when you're thinking of your Facebook page. That's the Facebook cover photo, the larger photo at the top. That should be 851 by 315 pixels, tall by wide. And try to keep it less than 100 kilobytes in size. It loads quicker, and people are going to have much more snappier response to your page. One thing I found is that you get better results, you get higher quality results with a PNG file than with a JPEG. There's some technical reasons for that, but JPEGs are a compressed file format, and they tend to lose picture information during that compression. PNGs aren't compressed, and so they give a much sharper, much clearer picture. The other photo you need to consider when you look at your Facebook page is your profile photo. The smaller photo, sometimes called an avatar, that really helps users identify you. It should be 180 by 180 pixels square. One of the things that people would like to do and can't figure out how to do it, you can't force it to be transparent and let the photo behind show through. So you have to kind of stage what your cover photo is going to look like versus your profile photo. I recommend you use your logo, and I recommend that you keep that consistent across your social media platforms. So that if someone is familiar with what you look like on Facebook, they see that same picture on Twitter, they see that same picture on your webpage, and so on. If you're going to post a photo in your postings, the best size to do that with is 484 by 252 pixels. A lot of people will compose that in PowerPoint. They'll drag a picture into PowerPoint. They may put some more information around that. If you're using PowerPoint and then converting that to a JPEG or a PDF or a PNG, start out with about 10 inches by about 7.9 inches. That tends to shrink down to the proper size of 484 by 252 pixels when you send it out. Keep it under 99 kilobytes again to keep it to load quickly. Use a PNG. And overall, those are still pictures. Video is much more eye-catching. If you can, video works much better. If you're using a smartphone, the key to shooting video is to keep it steady. You might want to try to use one of the mini tripods, lean against something. Keep it steady. Hold it horizontally rather than vertically. Keep your video short. Again, just like with still pictures, get close, then get a little closer. Either shoot from above or slightly below eye level. And then when you want to get closer to the action, zoom very smoothly with your feet, not with your phone. You get a much better picture coming out of that. Sound on video comes through very clearly in Facebook. So make sure you've got a plan for how your sound is going to work. Keep it clear. Do it well or take it out completely. If you're using a Mac, you can do that with iMovie. Windows uses Live Video Maker. Those are both built in. There are a lot more sophisticated tools, but those are a couple simple ways to remove sound. And just like with still pictures, it's very similar. If you're outdoors, it's best on a cloudy day or in the shade, you get better pictures. If you're inside, try to get some diffuse light coming in from the sides. Then we get to one of my pet concerns on social media sites. There's a lot of bad people out there, and they would love to take over or deface your work and the information that you have on your pages and websites. This slide also applies to your personal life and your personal websites, your personal accounts. We've heard a lot of stories about criminals or organizations or nation states breaking into computers. These are some ways to help mitigate the probability that you're going to be a victim to one of those. Use strong passwords. Several years ago, 8 characters was strong enough. A modern computer, not even a supercomputer, running the right software, can break a 6-digit or 6-character password in less than 0.3 of a second. You go to 10 characters, and that time with just a regular computer goes up to 10 hours. If you've got a nation state trying to break in with their massive computer clusters, 10 characters are broken maybe in less than a minute. But if you had a symbol, so a 10-character password, the time even for a government computer goes up to several weeks, and for just your normal, ordinary hacker, that goes into maybe into decades. My recommendation, use long passwords. My passwords, especially for my banking sites, are all 18 to 24 characters with an upper, a lower, a symbol, and a number. It's almost impossible with the state of the art right now to break into that. 5 years from now, who knows? I think you should also consider using two-factor authentication. That is something you know and something you have. Again, with my banking sites and with my Facebook page, I have that set up so that I have to log in with a password, and I have to have a little program running on my iPhone that generates a random number that I put into a special place in Facebook, and without those two, you can't get in. The website twofactor.org lists all the major websites and organizations that now support two-factor authentication. It's growing by the day. If you don't know anything about it, again, I strongly suggest you look into that, especially for political websites. The stronger the security, the better. I also suggest using password manager. I use 1Password. What that allows you to do is, under one set of very strong encryption, store all your other passwords. So you don't have to remember that 18-digit password or 18-character password. You have it logged in an encrypted form on your phone or on your computer, and that encrypted form, when you decrypt it, allows you to copy and paste those passwords. You should review your own privacy settings. If you're managing a Facebook page, you must log into your personal page to get to that Facebook page. And so you should look at your own security tabs, your own settings, and make sure your Facebook page security is adequate for you to manage an organizational page. And then lastly, go out, monitor your status. Don't let it sit too long. Make sure that you know what's on your information that's in social media and that someone hasn't gotten into it for you. These are some of the settings that you can change on a Facebook account. I've just listed a few here. You can get alerts when anybody logs into your account from a different device or a different browser. You can use this iPhone or your other Android phone as an extra layer of security with two-factor authentication. You can list contacts that can help you get back in if you're locked out. You can check where you're logged in at and unlog in if there's a location there that you're not familiar with, and so on. So I recommend that that's something everybody does on a regular basis. Go out and look at this page, make sure it's set the way you want it to set, and that Facebook hasn't changed something that you don't know about. They have a habit of changing account settings, especially in security, that may not be to your benefit. So if you get an account alert from Facebook and you're managing an organizational account where it's got some meaning behind it, make sure you go out and check your security settings. You have a lot of control over your Facebook page. This is in facebook.com/settings. When you're managing a page, who else can post to that page? You can control if posts expire. You can control who can tag your information. You can block certain words. You can turn blocker on to block profanity. You can prevent users by individual name from accessing your page, and so on. A lot of power buried down inside the settings pages, and I recommend, again, that people go out and check the settings for your account, especially if you're managing an account for an organization. On pages, this is quite a bit different than individual Facebook accounts. Since you can have multiple people managing a Facebook page, there are roles that are set up. And the Facebook app itself sets up roles of administrators, editors, moderators, and contributors. I've got those listed across the top. What those different roles can do. So for an example, an admin can set up other people. They can manage the roles and settings, but an editor can't. An editor can create and delete posts as the Facebook page, but a moderator can't, and so on. Two roles that Facebook doesn't have that I recommend for organizations that they internally decide on how they're going to manage things are executive owners and authors. An executive owner should be the people or the committee that sets the overall tone and theme for your Facebook page. Here in the 2nd District, Joyce and I talk about how we want that page to look. She collaborates with the other leaders in the 2nd District, and from there we determine the overall themes that we want to have posted. That executive owner should really be the one assigning page roles as to who are the admins, who are the editors, and so on. The other role that I think every Facebook organizational account needs to have is authors. It can't be just one or two people providing good information to a page. Authors need to write and provide content, just like contributors do, just like moderators do, just like editors do, like admins, and just like executive owners. Generate quality, original content, and it can't be just one person doing that. That has to be a team keeping that Facebook alive and focused. You're going to need a lot of input to keep that a viable operation. As I was researching this, kind of like David Letterman, I found a posting that said, these are the top 10 Facebook mistakes. Most of them we've already talked about. Failing to promote your Facebook page, number one. Number two, don't use a personal profile for a campaign or organization. Number three is something we haven't talked about yet, but it's very important. I don't think you should publish both a personal profile and a page for a candidate. Use a page. And the reason for that is if you're doing both, you're going to confuse people. If people are searching for John Doe as a candidate, they may get the personal profile when they search. They may get the page when they search. You don't want that. You want the page for the candidate. We talked about vanity Facebook URLs. Keep it simple to find. One of the mistakes people make is number 5. They'll say, "Look, come see my Facebook page," but they'll just have an icon there, and they won't give you the link, information on how to get to that Facebook page. Number 6 is one of the benefits of using a page versus a personal profile. You get to see a lot of information about a page. You get to see who likes, the best times to post, when people read your posts, the number of people that reached by a particular post, how much farther out that particular post was interacted with, how many other people that it end up with. There's a lot of information on the Facebook Insight data on your page. This particular list said number 7 was a mistake, and I disagree. They suggested setting up a custom landing tab. If you look at some of the large commercial pages, say Walmart on their Facebook page, as you click on that, you're going to get a lot of movement, a lot of motion. You're going to get ads pop up. You're going to get something tailored specifically for you. Things may move around. It can be cool, but it is a very not simple process to do. And for that reason, since most of the people managing these pages are volunteers, custom landing tabs take a lot of time and effort to manage. I don't recommend doing that. I also don't recommend auto-posting tweets to Facebook and vice versa. The Twitter tweets are a different approach. You should use different approaches for your Facebook, different approaches for Twitter, different approaches for your web page. So I don't think that what a lot of people do is auto-post. I don't think that's a good approach. I also don't think that you should strictly just dump out press releases and dump out official statements. Post things that people will read. If you want to put out a press release and an official statement, that's great. Maybe take a picture of it, stick that up there, have the link to where more information can be found. People probably aren't going to read long press releases. And number 10, I think, is really critical. One of the mistakes that people tend to make with pages is to add the position sought to a candidate's Facebook page. An example. This year, John Doe is running for city council. And he sets up a Facebook page that says John Doe for city council. And in 2 years, he wants to run for county commissioner. Well, he's been very successful. His page has over 100 likes. Once you get to 100 likes on a Facebook page, you can't change the title. Now he's got a choice. His Facebook page that he has all kinds of information, he has all kinds of likes, he has pictures, he has videos, he has feedback. It's going to always say John Doe for city council. Or he gets rid of that completely and starts from scratch. So number 10, I think is very important for candidates especially. Don't put your position sought in a candidate's page because that may change. I think another critical item to consider when starting social media is brand management. Especially in GOP North Carolina here, what are the keywords that we're going to use to help search for information both on an individual page or across Facebook? I think every post should contain maybe one or maybe two keywords to help focus what that particular post is about. Is it about the North Carolina GOP? Is it about a candidate? Is it about a county? Is it about Republican? Is it about economy? Is it about taxes? What is that about? Maybe there's two. I think one of the problems some postings is that there's 12, and you see this whole list of things at the end of the post, and you're going, what in the heck is that supposed to be? It looks ostentatious. It looks a little silly. I think one or two is probably appropriate. Be positive. We don't, especially I think in this strange campaign cycle coming up, at least the national elections, we're going to see a lot of negative campaigns. Let's keep that positive. One of the ways you can generate anticipation is post a countdown. I think 20 days until we have an event that's going to focus on this particular figure. 10 days coming, 5 days coming. Make sure that people understand things are going to happen. Build curiosity. I strongly recommend people monitor opposition websites, the North Carolina Democratic Party, on a webpage or on a Facebook. We regularly look at the 2nd District Democrat Party, see what they're saying about us. Likewise, though, don't give away your own strategy online. Keep it positive, keep the posting, but don't let the long-term process be given away. And a question I always ask at district level and county level, and that's something everybody has to answer individually, is do you want or do you need a similar look and feel across your sites? So should all sites within a district have a similar look and feel? Probably at the state level, the consideration would be, should all the district sites have somewhat of a similar look and feel? And that I think needs to be answered as we get more sophisticated with social media. The key is systematic and periodic updating of information. Update your postings. Websites can be more static. They get updated as needed by leadership or by guest commentators or by posting links. That's for your blogs, that's for your articles, that's for your static information. Facebook for social working, and as social media, that's all about relations. So build those relations. Posting should be daily. You should have some new information, whether you're the social media manager, whether you're the officer core, whatever you are, you should have some method of providing daily updates on your Facebook page. Twitter and Instagram are an entirely separate operation. Those are short messages, those are quick. If you're going to use Twitter, don't let them get stale. At least have something out there every 2 or 3 days. YouTube is very important for candidates. The social media can be a great source for your weekly and monthly newsletters and your email campaigns and your press releases. Keep track of what you're posting. You may want to just consider consolidating all those and mailing them out to people who aren't following you on Facebook, and then asking them to follow you on Facebook. So it all kind of comes down to this. You need to generate good content or reuse good content. That can come from a variety of sources. Letters to the editor, events, articles that you write, links to other information. Gather that, edit it, get approvals if you need them, and get them published to Facebook. From there, you can promote on Twitter, you can cross-post, you can save for newsletters, and so on. One of the key takeaways, though, is to like information from your personal page to your posts, and understanding that social media is viral. It spreads from one source to another. It spreads through likes, it spreads through cross-posting, and so it becomes more impactful. The more people like it, the more people see it and share it. And then once it's posted, figure out how you're going to reuse it. Save it for consolidation, repost on other social media like Twitter, or put it on your website. So the question now becomes, since this is a social media, what is it about your personal Facebook page? Are you using Facebook? To grow your organizational Facebook, you need to have and follow others. You need to build a network. You need to share content. Are you following the Republican Committee? Are you following the North Carolina GOP? Are you following your district? Are you following your county feeds? Are you following national or regional news information that corresponds to what you're interested in? Are you following and forwarding appropriate posts? Do you yourself post regularly? Do you ask your followers for feedback or ask them to post updates? And do you make it clear what your position is on the issues? And the big question then is, if you're not doing it, who do you expect to do that? I can get philosophical here and think back to what would Paul Revere have done if he had had Facebook? You know, if you think about our founding fathers on April 19th of 1775, there were over 20,000 militia that turned out overnight when the British marched out of Boston. They all did that with word of mouth, and they all did that because they had a network. They were following the news. They were forwarding appropriate information. They were talking. They were collecting followers. Paul Revere would have had a huge Facebook following. That's what we need to be doing now. There's a whole bunch of other tools out there, and I'm going to move away from Facebook here for a few minutes and talk about those. I think districts should consider using group calendars, and perhaps counties should consider, but I think it's more appropriate at the district level. In the second district, we've just started using a tool called Team Up, and I've got an example below what that looks like. We've set it up so that it's read-only in public, so that if someone wants to know what is going on for a particular event in Randolph County on the 18th of August, they can go to the 18th of August, click on it, and find out that Randolph County is holding a county meeting, where it's at, what they're doing, how to get there, if there's any costs involved, and who to contact for more information. Team Up, I like it. It's very simple to use. We've set it up so that only certain people can add events, and we're going to experiment with this for the rest of the year. It was very inexpensive for us to get going, and I think it's going to be a great tool for us. So I would consider strongly, if you have issues trying to coordinate large organizations, use a group calendar. Eventbrite is a key tool. Use it to schedule and coordinate campaign events. You can use it to publish information to Facebook. You can use it to publish information to your website. If you haven't tried Eventbrite, it's very straightforward to use. You list the title, location, and so on. You describe the event. You can set it up for tickets, make it either public or private, and publish the event, and you're good to go with the Eventbrite. No discussion on social media would be complete without talking about Twitter. Twitter is a whole different approach than a web page or a Facebook page. My suggestion is that you should consider Twitter to be a kind of a real-time networking tool. I think most users only look at Twitter for immediate updated information. Think people tweeting out information during the Republican debates, or think people tweeting out instantaneous updates during the convention or during large campaign events. It gets stale real quickly, so what I wouldn't suggest you do is try to tweet something and have it still be important 48 hours later. Maybe 48 minutes later, certainly not much longer than that. It's easy to set up. Go to twitter.com, use a name and email and password. You set up a profile very similar to what you do with Facebook or other social media accounts. You can connect it to your Facebook page so that it does auto post, although that's not something I recommend. Get out there, try it, figure out who you want to follow. There's a lot of good information, but again, it's a very quick, very real-time operation, not something that's going to be terribly useful unless there's an event going on. Instagram is coming along strong. Think Instagram as being like Twitter, but focused on pictures. It may yet become important for the 2016 campaigns, but I'm not convinced it's going to have a meaningful impact on those who are going to vote in 2016. Jeb Bush announced his campaign start with a video on Instagram, and he's trying to collect Instagram usernames as people look at it. My biggest problem with Instagram is that it tends to get very vulgar very quickly. If you go out and look at it, you can post something very positive, and there's 1,000 trolls out there that are very quickly going to post right below it some very rude information. So if you want to set up an account on Instagram, and I suggest that people do just so they know what to use there, the only way you can set up a new account is using a mobile device. That's one of the restrictions that Instagram set up. You cannot set it from a computer. Once you have an account set up, you can certainly go to it from a computer, but Instagram wants to capture that mobile device, and they're willing to make sure that people that use Instagram have the ability to rapidly post pictures and videos. You can then edit them a little bit, write a little narrative below them, but I think the jury is still out on whether Instagram is going to be a key component in the upcoming election. YouTube may become very important. I think it's critical for individual candidate campaigns. People can feel like they know candidates once they've spent some time watching them talk or interact with others. And candidates can use YouTube to positions or flattering information that could be out there. I've listed the procedures here for publishing to YouTube. It's owned by Google. You have to have a YouTube account to post. I suggest you set up a Gmail account strictly for posting to YouTube. Make it a non-personal account and use that to log in. Once you've logged into YouTube, it's straightforward. There's a yellow upload button. You locate the file, you upload it. There's some restrictions on what that file can be, just like there are restrictions on Facebook. It has to be .mov or .avi or .mpeg. They won't let you have longer than 10 minutes. It needs to be smaller than a gig. You get a title, add some descriptions, and then what's nice is you can set it public for the world to see, or you can grab that unique YouTube URL and send that to just friends and family. So it's a tool that I think candidates especially need to be aware of and should be familiar with how to use it. Websites, again, are a little bit different. Websites should be used for information that doesn't change quickly. Calendars, articles like blogs, static information, organizations, charts, pictures, position papers, links to official information. That's really what web pages are evolving to. They're better set up for general information. I think if you're going to have a website, you should post blog information frequently. But Facebook may be more practical in a volunteer organization. If you're going to set up a website, there's a few steps. It's not hard. You need to acquire and register a domain name, what you want that website to be called. You contract with a hosting service to host your website. You design your page using web page design software. Add content, figure out how you're going to update it, determine who's going to take care of the ongoing administration for it, start posting information, and then probably one of the most critical things, backup. Backup and backup. So if you don't have a website, there's some procedures for getting one set up. Press releases are going to, I won't say always be important, but they're certainly going to be important for the next few campaign cycles. Keep them simple. Use what journalists learn when they go to journalism school: who, what, when, where, why, and how. That newspaper may be the only social media, and that's stretching the word social media, but maybe the only media that some voters ever look at for their information. Target your audience, just like you target your audience with any other media. Use local names, use local places. People love to see their names in the paper. Make that reporter job easy, follow the deadline. So the deadline for press releases is Monday noon. Be in there well before Monday noon. Establish a relationship with who's going to actually get that press release in the paper. Create a good headline. They'll probably use it. Get to your main point early. It should be in the first paragraph. Keep it short, 1 page or less. Provide your own contact information, and then give a place to get more information from your website, from your Facebook page, from your cell phone, whatever. But press releases are going to continue to be critical tools for getting out information. Another tool that for a lot of people may be the only place they see political news is letters to the editor. Key to letters to the editor is to be timely. Just like a press release, you want to include contact information. Be quick, be concise, and be quiet. Critical, though, is to be accurate. If you've got evidence, give it, especially if it applies to a local situation. Don't have any personal attacks. And then key, proofread. Proofread again. Fact check it. Proofread again. Read it aloud. Ask somebody else to proofread it. Don't have errors. People make lots of fun of errors in letters to the editor. One suggestion that you may want to consider is to have some of your better writers in your organization ghostwrite letters for other people's signatures. It's an opportunity to get more letters in the paper, or you can perhaps get letters in the paper under well-known names from your organization. But keep up a steady stream of letters to the editor. This page lists some tools and costs. If you're going to start with a web page, you need a domain name. The providers there, probably the most likely one is GoDaddy. It costs around $18 a year to get a domain name. You're going to need someone to host your website. Again, GoDaddy does that real well. Amazon Web Services is coming up strong in the website hosting business. Then once you have your website, you need to figure out how to manage it. WordPress is becoming the de facto standard for website management. There's a simple WordPress, and then there's a million bells and whistles that you can hang on to that thing. Keep it simple. Drupal is a much more sophisticated web management tool. There's a very steep learning curve associated with it, and I think it's probably more for professional website developers. Joomla is another website management tool, but it's mostly used for online stores. So if you're setting up a website, strongly recommend go to WordPress. I think organizations need to have a way to document, store, and transfer documents. I've listed some there that are cheap and easy. Dropbox is real secure. If everybody uses a Mac, OneDrive, or Microsoft OneDrive works well. iCloud for Mac. Google Drive allows that. I have reservations about Google just because their business model is reading everybody's mail. I recommend Dropbox. Everybody should have an email account. Skype works well if you want to have video conferences within your organization. Backups are critical. Lots of ways of doing that. You can store your information on Dropbox or Box or OneDrive or one of those. For what I use a tool called Spider Oak. I like Spider Oak because it sits in the background of my computer and constantly updates to a website that only I have the password to. If you store to a lot of the other backup locations that are on the web, you have to give them your password so that they can help index your information. Spider Oak doesn't. The downside of that is if you ever lose your password, you're never getting your information back. But I like it because I'm the only one that has access to my encrypted data. I like MailChimp. It's free for smaller organizations and it's pretty easy to use. Constant Contact is more sophisticated, costs more. For the top payment systems are PayPal, Square, Pyrex, and Click and Pledge. There's been some bad press around Pyrex lately since they were purchased. We tended to go away from that with some of the counties in second district. It was a preferred solution and then it lost that. But we've had several counties go back to Pyrex. It turns out that when they were purchased, the accounts that were set up with Pyrex changed the format that they had to comply with for federal accounting rules. And it turns out that instead of last name first, first name last, or something like that, if you switch it around, Pyrex comes right back up and runs fine. Media dashboards. Hootsuite and Stacker are two tools that allow you to cross-post from Facebook to Twitter to other accounts, and they also help you to manage your posts. If you're serious into a lot of postings, you can look at Hootsuite or Stacker. They cost some money. Not necessarily, I don't think, but you can give them a shot. Eventbrite is kind of a common tool for managing events. You can use them to sell tickets. And like I said earlier, we've gone to using TeamUp for a calendar system, and I think that's going to turn out to be a really good solution for us. In the appendix, I've located just a couple other things here, the websites for some of the organization tools that I mentioned, everywhere from security to the TeamUp webpage. And then on the last page of this presentation is some in-depth social media training websites for particular applications. And so if you want to go into a lot of detail on how to use a particular feature on LinkedIn or more detail on how to use Facebook, here's some great places to go out and get some more detailed information. And with that, I think that's my last slide. If there are any questions, I'll be glad to give it a shot answering.
Well, that was very interesting. I learned a lot, especially all the other details about Eventbrite and the calendar, the TeamUp system. Thank you so very much, Terry.
Thank you, Lee.
Appreciate your time. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.